Hey fam, what's up? Today we are going to get into this very full coverage, full glam, flawless moment on the skin. I am focusing on this technique, the techniques that I used for the full face, the contouring, the highlighting, how I apply my foundations, my secrets, my tips, my tricks, everything to a very full coverage, very flawless face. It's not a daily thing. Normally I'm bare-faced or fresh-faced. If you follow me on Instagram at Kailin Chase, you would know that I'm usually a rat. But I really love this kind of like full face moment. This is something that I have been doing especially lately because I only go out like once a week in quarantine. Some restaurants are opening. So I've gone out a couple times here and there, and I am doing a full coverage base every single time because I am taking advantage of the moment. I am never going to take another day of wearing makeup and looking sexy and fine for granted. I have so many techniques that I like to do, from dewy skin to glowy skin to skin to no makeup to full coverage, and there's so many different techniques that I've learned. So this is a little set of techniques that I really love for a full coverage base, but I wanted to share it with you guys. Sorry for an extremely long intro. I love you guys. But let's get into the video. Let's get into this perfect flawless foundation base. So when it comes to the canvas that you've got going on, which is your face, baby, you do need to have it cleansed and you do need to have it moisturized. If you are putting foundation on dry skin, if you're putting anything on dry skin, it will stick to those areas and then it will slide all around. So you don't want to do that. But I do really quickly want to talk about how to prime your skin after you have moisturized and cleansed. I think you always have to moisturize and cleanse. So step one. Now, when it comes to the primer situation, you definitely can, if your skin is feeling great, if you're not feeling too oily, if you're not feeling too dry, and the moisturizer you've got going on right now is like living its best life, that's all you need. You don't have to have a primer. Some people think you absolutely do. Some people absolutely don't agree with primers. I'm in the middle and I see that both are beneficial depending on your skin type for the day, depending on what's going on. Currently, I have got pores showing. I'm feeling very oily, which is great because oily skin ages a lot slower than dry skin, so I'm not complaining. But I'm also having an acne flare-up. So since we've got that going on, I'm gonna use the Tasha Silk Canvas. But when I want a dewy look, when I want to hydrate my skin and really give it a glow, and usually when I'm using a less full coverage foundation, I will use the Ole Henriksen Banana Bright Primer. This stuff is fire. But I'm gonna go with this one because it's not super drying, like some pore filling primers. And then I'm just going to pick up a little bit and I'm just going to work it in to my pores. You do not need a lot of this primer to have it go a long way and to fill those pores. You really don't. All right, there we go. It's kind of like blurred the skin a little bit, as you guys can see, but it's good to note that while this one is a pore filling primer, it's not super, what is on my eyelash? It's not super drying. I'm not a fan of the Photo Finish or a lot of the primers made by Smashbox. Do love Smashbox, but I don't like those primers. They're pore filling in a very silicone-y way. This is pore filling in a more moisturizing way. I do also like Optical Illusion by Urban Decay, but it is still drier than this one. I'm going to color correct with Bobbi Brown in Light Bisque. And honestly, I thought color corrector was the biggest BS of all time. I mean, I still don't even know if I need it for this particular look because we're using such a full coverage foundation. But since I am having a little issue with breakouts this week, why not have that extra coverage? I wanna make sure that these veins right here are covered. So I recently learned that if your dark circles around here present themselves as blue or purple, it's better to use something like this one. This is Light Bisque Color Corrector by Bobbi Brown. Love this so much. I've been using it all week and I really love it, even on my no makeup days. But if your dark circles present as brown or kind of a green undertone, it's probably best to use more of a peach shade for that. But I wanted to share that with you guys because I know that not everybody has the same undertone and I don't want you to try something that I'm doing and then like hate it, and you know. So color corrector is done. I have been doing this in my foundation routine, in every foundation routine that I do, whether it's dewy, light coverage, full coverage, whatever. I've been doing this in every single one since I learned about this color corrector, and I really love it, and I feel like it's kind of been a little bit of a game changer in my routine personally. So now let's get into foundation. I'm using one of my favorites. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter. I also am obsessed with Shiseido's Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Foundations. This one is more drying, so if you have dry skin, I would recommend you use this one. If you have oily skin, I would recommend that you use this one. I love them both because my skin is combination. It teeters more on the oily side, but this one doesn't make my skin feel oilier. You know what I mean? Anyways, This isn't a foundation review. You already know. So what I do is, sorry, it's a brand new one. I gave Urban Decay all my money. Here we go. So I literally start with 3.5 pumps. I know that sounds like a lot, but a lot gets lost in the brush. A lot gets lost in the blender. I'm making excuses. And I use the back of my hand because the back of your hand can kind of activate the foundation before it's on. It gets it warm, it gets it ready. And I like to use the brush. This one is the IT Cosmetics Blending Mineral Powder Blush. I don't like foundation brushes. I prefer these ones with this shape. I prefer this kind of like small. I don't like the ones that are super short. I don't feel like they work well at all. I think these work the best, and I think IT Cosmetics brushes are absolutely worth the money. This one was $30 and I love it. So I like to start with the perimeter of my face. I feel like that's where all the mistakes are made. I do this before I do the beauty blender because I want my product to really get in there. I also just want to be that bitch who uses a brush, you know what I mean? Just make sure you get it in the hair, make sure you get the ears, make sure you get like right back here because girl, if you didn't match your shade and you're white back there. So I totally forgot to color correct one area, my brows. So I get microblading done, and this helps hide them so I can create a little bit more of a fox brow shape. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe it's a tattoo on your face and you shouldn't do that. I like to go right through here, but I don't always go down my neck because especially with a beauty blender, you can get patchy spots once it oxidizes. I don't think there's anything wrong with a foundation that oxidizes. I feel like that's the nature of foundation. Leave the neck and the rest of the jaw for powder. So I hope that that little tip saves you guys from like a cheetah looking neck. Little Carol Baskin moment, you know? I like to take a little bit just of what's in this area, not really in the whole globby section. And then I like to put it on my eyes. Reason being is because I do not like the look of a super white brow and then foundation. I feel like it just doesn't look right to me. If you do that, that's fine. So I've already done my brows, so I'm just gently going around them. Anyways, I'm gonna take my beauty blender and then I press it into my skin. This gives you more of a soft, diffused look. So now I'm just gonna take a pump and I'm gonna add a little bit more coverage through my cheeks and then a little bit here on my forehead. When you're adding the second layer of foundation, you don't want to go in too much into the concealer area. You really want to give it its own space on the cheeks, and I don't like to go anywhere where there's lines. So if I'm smiling, I'm not gonna go past here, because then it'll get into that line. I'm not gonna go past here because then it'll get into those lines, and that is how we get a cakey face. Right there. You gotta be careful though, because you don't wanna get it down here because that's how you get that like mustache look. You know what I'm saying? Quarantine's been a long time. I haven't been able to go get waxed. But seriously, just like press slowly. Don't pick up any more foundation on that brush. And then I always like to go into my eyes right through here. And voila. See how much better this side looks than this side? You can still see a little bit of pink coming through because when I do the brush, you don't actually get as much on your face as you think you're getting when you have like 3 pumps. I do like to make sure that I am getting it on my lips because if you don't, you can kind of get that halo around your lips, around your brows, around your hairline. So just make sure that you take whatever is left on the product or on the beauty blender, get it on that halo, as we like to call it. So when I'm doing my concealer, I like to take it along this line right here. It's gonna make it so much easier to blend out and make it look natural. If you take it all the way up to the waterline, you're gonna get a super, super white under eye, and I just don't find that it looks natural. Now, normally I'm not a fan of drawing lines on the face, but I feel like the concealer, especially this concealer, because it doesn't dry quickly, it doesn't make it super hard to make sure that you're blending it later. So if you do have a dry concealer, I would never recommend doing all of this at once. Lately, what I've been doing is blending it where it is, just tapping it into those places that it's already sitting. And then I like to look up and blend it in, but I don't like to bring it up all the way to my waterline. I like to kind of stop right here. I like to take whatever's excess and round it into my eye to create more shape. If you bring out the concealer all the way out here, it's gonna make your face look a little bit wider. If you bring the concealer up, it's going to keep the focus right here. And since quarantine is putting a couple LBs on your girl, we're just gonna bring it up right here, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna stop it right there. And then once I feel like it's blended pretty well, I like to take my beauty blender and pounce her in. This just gives you that like nice soft look. I take a teeny tiny bit and go up my Cupid's bow. Now I'm gonna take this, just blend it. Honestly, lately I haven't been super obsessed with highlighting my nose like I just did. I've mostly really just been doing contour or highlight, but today I'm gonna do both just to give you guys that like full tutorial and show you guys what I would do if I were to do one or the other. For contouring lately, I've been super into using a darker foundation, which I feel like is a little questionable, but I've been using this one, the foundation by Anastasia. This is in 44C. I do the smallest amount. So when doing contour, I'm not a big fan of drawing lines on your face. I feel like that's a very quick way to ruin your makeup because sometimes those lines are hard to blend out. I like to bring it from the top of the ear, relax the face because that's how people are gonna look at you, and then just buff this product in and blend as you go. I like to just go a little bit deeper right through here and press up. So I've literally done this so many times that I know how my face works. I know where it wants to go. I know what it wants to do with contour. But if you don't know what to do, first, just smile a little bit and see where that line wants to go. And then go with the natural shape of your face. Don't just do what I'm doing because I'm doing it. So going onto the forehead, picking up a little bit on my brush again. And I like to start from right here and then just slowly build. Push it into the hairline. And then I like to kind of do a couple swirl action moments. And really I'm just kind of pressing and pushing it back into the hairline. Doing almost like a half moon moment, you know. Now we're gonna contour the nose and we're actually gonna use a brow carving brush. This is number 20 by Anastasia Beverly Hills. I like to work in sections even on my nose. I find that if I go in with a line, I am more likely to mess it up, and I'd rather just work as I go. I have a button nose, so if I ever do just the line and leave this area white, it looks very strange on me. I think if you already naturally have a pretty narrow nose, like you can totally not bring the product all the way back like I'm doing right here by bringing it back here. I like to bring it into the front of the brow and then also follow that natural line. And then on days when I'm not doing shadow, I like to take this and work it to create a sculpted eye. Just bring that out. Then I just beauty blend it in. Contouring is done, highlighting is done. Now before we go into setting, I like to take my beauty blender and just make sure there's no creasing because I don't want to set any creasing. We're looking good, no creasing is going on. So now I'm going to take a brush like this one. This is the Morphe 510 brush, love this brush. And I am going to take a tiny bit of Laura Mercier powder. This is most definitely a more drying foundation, so I don't really like to do a whole lot of baking with this one. I really just like to set, call it a day. Now I'm gonna take any old brush laying around, honestly, and I'm going to set the contoured areas on my face because I feel like if we're setting the highlighter in those areas, we should also be setting the contour on our forehead and on our cheeks. Just, it's gonna slide around too, so it's best to be safe than sorry. It's also a great opportunity to warm it up or correct any color. Same with this side, I like to just bounce it into my skin. Just setting those areas. You can tell it's an aspen tree by the way it is. If you know, you know. Wow, I'm so annoying. Okay, now I'm gonna go in today with the humble 3 millionth product we've used for the day, and that is a brightening powder. Dragon Beauty's face powder. I really like this one because it has a really nice peach undertone. Like, do you see? Do you see? And on days when I'm not doing shadow, I'll take a little bit of this on the end of my brush. Literally just put it right there. We're done, that's all we need. All right, so now that we've bathed ourselves in powder, let's put on a little bit more powder. I really like the Patrick Ta She's So Passionate blush and Peaches by MAC. They're both beautiful. I've been really into the She's So Passionate though. This is just like a nice peachy shade, and I'm gonna use the same brush because who cares, honestly. I am going to show you guys how I highlight because I feel like that's part of face makeup, but I don't highlight every day, nor do I highlight very much because I'm not a huge fan of highlighter. More power to you if you love it. I really like the Bar of Gold palette by Charlotte Tilbury. I think it is one of the best highlighters out there. It's my personal favorite. I like to go into the center shade because it's a champagne-y pop. And I just like to put it in those areas where the light naturally hits. Ooh, again, a little bit on the Cupid's bow. Love a good, sexy, highlighted Cupid's bow. I'm just gonna brush a little bit of that away. Really quickly, I'm gonna do my brows and my eyes off camera because we don't need that for a face video and you don't need to be here forever. So I'll be right back. Eyes and lips are all done, so I'm gonna have what I use in the description box for you guys. But the last step that I do to my makeup is key. You already know. Setting spray, but I like to call this like melting spray more. This is the Hydrating Milky Mist by Pixie Beauty. You can get it at Target. They have this one for 20 bucks, or I don't know how much a small one costs, probably 10. But this one is literally everything. I'm just going to drench myself, take a nice bath, you know. You don't need this much, you really don't, but I love it. It makes your skin so dewy. You look a little wet for a second, then I just like let it dry. Let it dry. I would consider this one to be completely different from Max Fix Plus or Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. It's gonna melt liquids and powders together to kind of create that nice skin-like look. Then you have Max Fix Plus, which I think is supposed to do the same thing, but I'm not obsessed with it because it kind of like douses you. Like it spits at you. Like globs of the setting mist come right at your face. And then a lot of times your makeup will lift and it's not the best. So I don't love Max Fix Plus. I use it every once in a while. The Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray is one that I would consider to be like hairspray for your face. It's the lock to the whole thing. It's not really a setting spray. I feel like if you use it as a setting spray to melt things together, it doesn't do that. It really just locks things into place. So if you're going to use it, use something like this first. But yeah, I hope that you guys like this. This is definitely a technique that I don't do every day. This is definitely a full coverage, going out and doing some stuff. A lot of times I'll do like a lighter coverage foundation, but still do the same steps that I did with the contouring and the highlighting. I'll still do all that, but I'll usually use a much lighter foundation, or maybe I won't even use a foundation at all when my skin is feeling nice and not broken out. But I hope that you guys like it. Let me know in the comments if you're going to try this. Playing with new techniques is my literal favorite thing to do in makeup. I love, love, love learning new things, and I love trying new things in makeup because I feel like there's always so much to learn. I'm super, super into runway style makeup lately, which is kind of the opposite of what we did today, given that it's usually so light coverage. But the color corrector is usually in there because they have to spend a lot of time on skin. So I'm gonna give myself that one token. But I really, really love runway techniques. So if that's something you guys would like to see in a future video, let me know in the comments below. I love you guys so much. Don't forget to subscribe. I never tell you guys that in a video. And I get so many views and then no one subscribes. So I will tell you, subscribe if you guys like my videos. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. I didn't realize, but you guys won't actually get notified unless you hit the notification bell, which I didn't realize. So I wanted to share that information with you guys in case you didn't know that. But you can also find me on all my socials on TikTok at Kailin Chase with an extra E. No, I don't think there's an extra E, that's Twitter, my bad. On TikTok at Kailin Chase, on Twitter, Kailin Chase with an extra E, on Instagram at Kailin Chase. I love you guys and I hope you guys had fun with this video, and until next time, I will see you guys. Bye you guys.